Well, what's going on, dude?
Well, things. So let's just say at the top of the show, we know what's going on in America and also kind of around the world. And we're not going to talk about any of it because that's not really what we do here. We talk about tech things. And we're just going to try to be a little bit of a diversion for you. So with that being said, this week and last week, my family has had to go into quarantine. And what that means is that we were actually fully stuck at our house, finally. Which all these people that you've seen on social media that were like, look, I cleaned my whatever because I've been stuck at the house. Since we truly were stuck, we started some spring cleaning. And because you've been at my house, the way our garage is set up, we have a 2-door garage door, but that left side goes deep and it goes all the way through. So it's like we have a 3-car garage, but it's not 3 side by side. And so I've seen it listed as 2 plus 1 or 2 extra deep or whatever, but that's where all of our stuff goes. So that's where the bikes are, that's where the mowers are, all that kind of stuff. Well, a couple of years ago, we bought a rolling 5-shelf metal cart rack system from Sam's. It was $70. And the good thing about it being on wheels is it can kind of go anywhere and you can easily move it out of the way. But the bad thing about it being on wheels is that it can kind of go anywhere and you can move it out of the way. So the spot where I always dreamed it would be, it's never been there. And I've taken a few different attempts at, cleaning up the garage and getting it to its final resting place, but it just kind of never happened. And so my wife and I were talking about it, and she was like, where is this supposed to go? And I said where I'd always thought, and she goes, yeah, that seems like a good place. So we had started working on the garage a little bit, and then Friday I went to work, and when I came home, the cart was where it's always been supposed to be. So she had totally taken the initiative and cleaned out the spot and moved it over there. And then since then, I've been super inspired, and so is she. And so we spent the weekend cleaning out our garage, and it looks amazing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That is a good feeling whenever you have a garage cleaned up and everything in its place.
Yeah. Aside from that, so I mentioned last week that the kid's birthday was over the weekend. And on Tuesday, so kind of after Memorial Day, after everything was done, I was like, you know what? Time to get serious about my diet again. And with that being said, I lost almost 3.5 pounds last week.
Wow. That is a lot.
Yeah.
Just don't find it. Just keep it lost.
Right. Yeah, Tuesday to Monday, I was like, wow, that's... the first week's always the easiest if you're being serious, and if you're a guy, I think. But that made me feel good.
Yeah, it should. That's a good chunk of change. Well, the weekend for me was hanging around the house, really. It was actually pretty nice. Trying to think what I did on Saturday, to be honest with you. I installed my new dropper post for my mountain bike. So that was a fun install. I made a video for that and got to test it out on Sunday by riding 6 miles on my trails that I have in my backyard. So I did 10 laps to get 6 miles in, which I feel like that is pretty good because I didn't utilize every bit of trail. I utilized this kind of little made up loop that I just kind of made up on the fly that was fun to ride. I avoided all of my features because I was just wanting to get some miles in. So the seat post performed amazingly well. It's actually kind of funny because I didn't think there was all that much wrong with my other seat post, but after getting a new one and kind of examining how it feels, there were a lot of, let's just say it was 7 years old and it was time to replace it. So yeah, it's like I'm sitting on a seat post that doesn't move up and down, but can move up and down if you want it to now, where before it was like I was sitting on a seat post that wiggled around and it would move up and down when you wanted it to, but then by the end of its life, it just moved down whenever it wanted to. So yeah, the new seat post is performing well, and on Friday I should have a video out there for everybody to watch.
Okay.
And
couple of things. I saw the Instagram post of your 6 miles, but I figured it was mountain biking, but I wasn't sure if it was running or riding, because you didn't technically say.
I didn't specify. Yeah.
But that's good to know. For all you Run Bike Mike patrons out there, hashtag I'm one, I've already seen the dropper post install, and yeah, it looks pretty good. It looks pretty good, man. And also, I have struggled so the mountain bike I have now is my first bike with a dropper post. I have struggled to figure out like where to really put it, and you didn't really have a tip for your initial install, but you had a tip for going from one to the next, and I'm going to mess around with that a little bit, because I've played with kind of the markings on the back of the post, and it hasn't really helped me out much.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna measure and kind of see where mine's at and what maybe it needs to be at, and go from there.
Right. Yeah. I mean, getting a seat right on a bike is it's kind of hard to do, and then once you've got it right, you don't want to mess with it.
Right.
Because having a seat in the wrong position can do all kinds of weird things. It can hurt your knees, it can hurt your hips, it can make the ride not enjoyable. So it can wear your muscles out faster than what it would if it was in the right spot. So yeah, whenever I was sitting there thinking, oh gosh, I got to swap this seat over, this is going to be miserable. I was like, I'm just going to measure this at the seat post rails, because I know that that's where it's going to be attached to on the new post. Right. So, and it's easy because that's metal, right? And the seat is actually fabric and so yeah. It's, hopefully that tip helps out some other people too, whenever they see the video, because changing seats is no fun.
No, it's really not.
But yeah, other than that, I mean, that's pretty much what I did all weekend. I kind of hung out, did the trails. We did have something really funny happen last night. I found it funny. I think my wife found it terrifying. But I went out the back door late at night, probably about 10. We have 2 back doors. We have one that goes out to our main patio, and then we have one that's off of our master bedroom. Yeah. And I went out the main one because I thought I heard something out there, and I looked, and there was nothing out there. And then
that's how horror movies start.
I know. So Jessica opens up the master bedroom door, and I can see her because she turned the light on, and it's just like 15 feet away from the other door. And she was going to let our dog Izzy out to go to the bathroom before bed. Yeah. And all of a sudden I hear her go, "Oh my gosh, snake!" So we have a window right next to that master bedroom door that is to our living room. Yeah. Well, above that window, there's a gutter, and there is a baby birds. There's a nest up there full of baby birds, and the mom and the dad have been going back and forth giving worms. Yeah. Well, that window, when you walk out the master bedroom door, it is literally like almost chest height, and that snake was sitting right on that window ledge, which is right by where Jessica was standing. Right. It was a big old black snake, so
working its way.
I wasn't real concerned with it. I wasn't concerned with it, but as far as she was concerned, that was the most poisonous snake in the world, and it was going to completely like consume her like an alligator would.
Well, and here's the thing about black snakes. They're always big. Like I've never seen a tiny black snake. Like they're huge, and so they are huge by Missouri standards. They're like 6 feet long usually. I know there are bigger snakes in the world, but like for what we see around here, that's big, and so, and they always catch you off guard, just because of size.
Yeah, because they're just a sneaky danger noodle. it's so I had to do the husbandly thing.
Yeah,
and I had to get rid of the snake. And I'm not one to like, unless I know it's poisonous or I am like not really sure if it's poisonous or not, I won't kill the snake.
Yeah.
Because a snake that's not poisonous is actually a good thing to have around on your property because it gets rid of all kinds of rodents.
It's a friend, not a foe.
Getting rid of rodents also gets rid of ticks, and a lot of people don't know that because ticks actually start in like mice dens and stuff like that. So I like to keep the black snakes around. Yeah. Well, I went and got a rake and basically pinned the head of the snake and then grabbed its tail, and it tried to get away from me, but I got it out to the middle of the yard, and that sucker was, man, you know, if you haven't held a snake in a while, they're strong.
Well,
like they're just full muscle is all they are.
Yeah, you said a sneaky danger noodle. Like all they are is a string of muscle. Like just muscle after muscle. And like when you hold one, like you can feel them rippling in there. Like it's kind of creepy because like, I don't know. There's nothing cool about a snake in terms of like how humans feel about them, but like they're fascinating.
Yeah, they're like they're an animal that I want to know more about, and I don't want to know any more about. They're just like, I'm not one of those people that like freaks out and like would shove my friend in front of me to like get away from the snake. I will deal with the snake, but I just would rather them stay in their snaky place, and I will stay in my human-y place.
Yeah. So, I'll tell you, you know how I feel about spiders. I feel way better about snakes than I do spiders. So I'm with you.
Yeah, well and unfortunately for you, there are more spiders than snake encounters in this world for the both of us.
Way more. Way more.
Yeah. So what are we talking about this week?
This week, we're going to talk about some astronauts, and we're going to talk about a bug bounty, I guess, is the best way to describe it. So, yeah.
Well, that sounds good to me.
Right.
Let's do it.
Welcome back to Lunchtime Tech Talk. I'm Chad.
And I'm Mike. Well, Chad, I have no topics, so this is all you.
This is me this week, yeah.
This is you.
So Wednesday, SpaceX partnered with NASA was supposed to send 2 astronauts up to the International Space Station. And this was a big deal for a couple of reasons. No astronauts have gone into space from American soil in the past 9 years.
It's crazy.
And the other thing is this is a public-private partnership. And so it's NASA partnered with Elon Musk's SpaceX. And so Wednesday's launch got scrubbed. So when I was watching the feed, it looked like just, we got some clouds and it's, it's not ideal. But what I ended up hearing later was like there were tornado warnings in the area.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And bad time to launch a rocket.
Yeah, bad time to send a fireball into space. So anyway, on Saturday, they actually did have a successful launch. I think it was midday sometime. it takes 19 hours to get to the space station, and I saw on Sunday at 10 something Eastern, they had successfully docked and they were on board, and they are now hanging out with crew number 63 aboard the International Space Station.
That is crazy.
Isn't it? It's totally crazy.
The dude who created the Teslas has successfully launched humans into space. And as far as I know, that is the only privately funded company that has ever put a human in space.
Yeah, I know, I think, strong emphasis on think. I think I remember reading something about China trying to do some of that, but that might have all been government funded too. And I don't actually know if they ever got around to people or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's crazy. So like a rich kid who grew up with emeralds in his pockets, who you probably wouldn't expect to do much in terms of changing the world because, I don't know, in my opinion, super rich kids never do, is totally changing the world. And it's crazy.
Maybe that's why he's changing the world, is because he grew up with emeralds in his pocket. Don't they say there's some like mystical power to those things or something? Turns out that's all you need to do is put some emeralds in their pockets, and your kids will grow up to be crazy mad geniuses.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I've read a little bit about it. Their mission term is granted for up to 4 months, but they said they'll probably get finished before that length of time. I'm not sure what they're supposed to be doing up there, but it was two guys that went, or two people. I think they were both male.
I think so. I think that's what I saw too.
So two guys that went up, and basically, just being super humble, they said, we're happy to join this crew that's already here, and we hope we don't get in the way.
Right. Yeah. What I'm envisioning that they're doing is they're just building a Tesla Roadster up there. I mean,
right.
What else would he have them do?
A miniature version that, right? Yeah, a miniature version that they can cruise around the space station in.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, that's awesome, man. It's a cool accomplishment.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty cool. Like, it's pretty cool to be able to have astronauts leaving from America again, and it also not be strictly a burden on the taxpayers.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm sure NASA still paid SpaceX in order to shuttle their people up, but, like, they didn't have to build the rocket, so it had to be cheaper.
Yeah, and do you know, was this in one of those reusable rockets? Did they land those rockets successfully, if it was?
I mean, it's SpaceX, so I assume, but I didn't look into that part of it.
That's what I figured that they were making them for. I will put it in the footnotes. So. Yeah. That'll be interesting to know if they did land those rockets, if they were the reusable type. And what will be even more astonishing is, well, for one, two things. When those astronauts come back, because that's the other very dangerous part of space, is coming back into the atmosphere. And then also, if they did use reusable rockets or fuselages or whatever those things are called that they actually land on those platforms, if they use them again to shoot other people up in space, like that would be really crazy. That would be like a first of its kind. I mean, they had the space shuttle, but it wasn't really the thing that actually pushed it up into space. It just kind of helped it there. So,
right. The thing that pushed it up into space is what we left in space.
Right. Yeah.
When the space shuttle came back, like, that was the reusable part, but the boosters are still up there.
Yeah. It's super cool. It's super cool what they're doing. I don't know what advantages it's going to have for us as humans in the future, but that guy has such big visions for where humans need to be and where they need to go. I'm just along for the ride.
Well, and every success begots more confidence from the public and from the government and whoever else. So, like, some of these crazy, quote unquote, crazy things that he's been wanting to do, like, maybe people will let him try.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah, especially after this. I mean, putting people in space is a huge step.
Yeah, exactly. So the other thing I wanted to talk about, Apple recently paid an India the country, an Indian hacker, $100,000 because he found a bug in their sign in with Apple.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you can sign in with Facebook, you can sign in with Google. We talked about this, I think, on a previous episode that Apple was going to come out with a sign in with, and you were the one that talked about it, and I was totally on board, but I've yet to actually see it anywhere.
Yeah, I've done it twice. Two different applications that I've signed up for have had it, so I just went ahead and did it, and it makes it super easy. I mean, you think sign in with like Facebook and sign in with Google is fast. This is even faster, which
Nice.
is pretty cool. So he found a bug with it, huh?
Yeah, so the bug that he found could allow for somebody to maliciously sign in under your stuff and, like, kind of take over your account as if they were you. And anyway, he reported the bug to Apple. They paid him for it. They say, which we have to assume they're being honest, they say that they've done some testing and checking and they haven't actually seen where anybody has used this kind of glitch spot, and they've repaired it now.
Nice.
So should be good, but I didn't even know that program existed. So they call it their bug bounty program, and anything that you can find, I guess you can get paid for.
Yeah, and Apple hadn't done this for years. They had done it in the past and then they took it away. And Google's been known to do this, and just basically all the big companies, Facebook, all those, they'll do these bug bounties because they basically want to incentivize people who have a conscience and would like to turn something over, but also would like to be paid for the work that they've done. Because there's a huge black market for turning over vulnerabilities. Now, you may not be turning over these vulnerabilities to a bad person per se. Let's say you turn it over to an actual reputable company, but then that reputable company takes that particular vulnerability and they figure out ways to do things with it, not necessarily for bad, but to put themselves ahead in the market itself of security. So, I mean, yeah, a lot of people are going to say, well, I'll just turn it over to this black market because they're going to pay me $100,000. Well, if Apple's going to pay you $100,000 also, and you really are just trying to do the right thing, then you'll turn it into Apple, and then hopefully they'll pay you.
Or let's even say you could get $250,000 on the black market, but you can get $100,000 and not go to jail. Like,
right? Yeah. I mean,
I don't know. Kind of a good incentive.
I don't know what the legalities are for selling these fines to like other individuals. I mean, if they're I don't really know. I don't know how all that works. But yeah, to me, it's like, this is a good way to keep good people honest. And, somebody who finds something that could cause major issues down the road for a huge company's software. I mean, let's just say, how much did they pay that guy? $100,000?
$100,000.
$100,000 is pennies to Apple. And if this saves them a lawsuit, then that lawsuit is like 1 week of having an Apple lawyer. I mean, and all that stuff is going to take a lot longer.
Or just think about how much Apple touts security. If something happened, you could count it as lost revenue in the future. And
Yeah.
if something happened, $100,000 is, again, a drop in the bucket in terms of potential lost revenue.
Right. And stories like this coming out encourages other people to turn stuff into Apple because they know that they're willing to pay out for things that they find.
Yeah.
And so
Absolutely.
they do have different levels of bounty. So like, I don't know the exact numbers, but I think it can go all the way up to $1 million depending on how much of a security risk it is.
Okay.
I don't know if 100,000 is the lowest level, but I know it can go up pretty high, like around $1 million. And there's been a few payouts that I've heard of, but most of those payouts from that I have heard of have been U.S. based people that have found the vulnerabilities. I haven't heard of anybody in India or another country finding one and Apple paying out. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah. So maybe it's time for us to get our Swordfish on and start finding some Apple vulnerabilities so we can get that loot.
Chad, you have more faith in our ability than I do.
Well, to those listening, maybe you can get your Swordfish on.
Yeah, exactly. And if you don't know what Chad's talking about with Swordfish, just go watch the movie Swordfish. There's like a hacker in there who is doing the traditional movie style hacking of banging on the keyboard and looking at a couple of monitors and
no, like 10 screens.
Yeah, it's literally just ridiculous.
And the screens are totally 90s. Like,
oh yeah.
There was no computer system in the world that looked like this, but this is what people thought hackers were doing. So, there's that.
Yeah. Well, imagination, right?
Yeah.
So, well, is that all the topics that you have? That's all the topics that I have, which was nothing, but I feel like I somewhat contributed this episode.
Oh, no, you totally did.
I think we can do some crazy tech. What do you think?
Let's do it.
All right.
Would you choose the Apple or the Droid? Safety or open source? It's Thursday and now it's time for crazy tech. LT3's hanging out, yeah. It's Thursday and now it's time for crazy tech. The crazy tech, yeah.
Another good one, Chad. Another good one.
Oh, yeah.
So
an oldie but a goodie.
right. So I'm just gonna go first. I'm kind of cheaping out with this, but this is what I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna use my dropper post, and the reason why I'm calling this a crazy tech is it's not because it's a new technology. It's because more of the cost of it. So far, I've only done, now you got to bear with me, I've only done 6 miles on the bike, and it's been on my trail. I haven't really utilized the post as much as what I plan on doing in the future. But for $109, I got a dropper post. I mean, and if you don't know what a dropper post is on a mountain bike, the seat post is normally fixed and it doesn't go up and down unless you undo a bolt or undo a latch and you raise it and lower it. With a dropper post, you basically just hit a button and you sit on it and it lowers, and then you stand up off the seat and you hit the button again and it raises. And these, whenever I bought my bike, were $500-$600 back whenever I bought my bike in 2013. Most of them are $250 to $400 now. Well, Nash Bar has a brand called Forte, and the model is the Clutch. And it's right now it's on sale for like $109, normally $150. And this particular seat post, which is cool, if you have a bike that's older like me, or even if you have a bike that's newer like Chad's, you can still run it because it's an external routed seat post. So you can run this seat post on any bike, whether you have internal routing or external routing. My suggestion, if you have internal routing, is to run internal routing because it's much cleaner. But if you're in the market to buy a dropper post and you didn't want to spend $200, $300, $400 and you don't care if it's external routing, this is a great deal. And now there's an asterisk. Like I said, I haven't really tested this out, but there are a couple of brands out there that literally look identical to this seat post, which makes me convinced that this seat post is actually made by one manufacturer, and that manufacturer is basically selling that particular model to these other companies. And those particular models have gotten really good reviews over the last 3 years. So this design is not brand new, but the low cost of it at $109 is brand new. Typically, this model says it retails for $150, but in the other brands, it's been anywhere from like $189 to about $200. So it's a great deal as far as I can tell right now. We'll just have to wait. Time will tell whether or not it has the longevity. But at $109, it was worth trying out.
Yeah, so a couple of things on that. First of all, Nash Bar, you mentioned, is a website. I think web only. I don't think they have any stores.
I don't think so. They used to have a catalog.
But anyway, it's incredibly reputable, and the reputation is that you get really good stuff for less. And so you can go on there and you can buy name brand stuff and you can pay right around what normal retail is. But if you use their company brand, it's kind of, I keep using this on this podcast and with other people that I talked to recently, but Bass Pro, you can go in there and you can buy a Matthews or a Diamond bow, but you can also buy Blackout, which is Bass Pro's brand, but it's made by Diamond. And so you save $150, but you're getting the same thing with a different logo on it. Like, it sounds to me like that's what you're getting with Forte also. And because it doesn't have the name brand on it, you get to save a little bit, but you've still got the same research and everything in behind it. And since you said it's been out for a few years, like, that's why it's available. You don't get first year stuff with a Nash Bar logo on it. You get, been around, been tested, we're on to something new stuff.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And so, good on you. That's my first thing. Number two, like you said, you only did, in my mind, you did a bunch of XC riding. You didn't do any features. You didn't do anything like that. But sitting on the seat and cranking away, that's where you've been having troubles with your old seat post, is when you're just sitting on it, And that's so, off the top, you did a pretty good test for you to make sure that it's going to kind of hold up the way that you want it to.
Yeah. I'm excited to see the longevity of this. I mean, if this thing lasts, let's say it lasts a year and a half, 2 years, that's a heck of a deal. I mean, who knows? By that time, I might be ready for a new bike anyways, because the bike will be almost 10 years old.
By that time, maybe someone will have sponsored your channel and just sent you a bike.
Yeah. That's what I'm hoping for.
That's what you meant.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, we can dream, right?
We can. What's your crazy tech?
My crazy tech actually, technically, in all realisticness, has nothing to do with tech. But I thought this was crazy. So I've mentioned the Robin Hood snacks before. They pop up in my inbox every Monday. America, on whole, had higher incomes in April than they did pre-COVID.
Wow.
And at face value, that sounds absurd because, 40 million Americans got laid off or are on unemployment. And actually, that's why. So through the whole month of April, people that were laid off in March collected their regular check plus $600 a week.
Mm-hmm.
And we all got $1,200 sent to us from the stimulus package. And so personal income for America as a whole actually went up 10.5%.
Wow.
Thanks to those two things.
Jeez.
And at the same time, wages and salaries fell, I say only, but only 8%. So, like, there's actually a net up there. And Americans actually put away 33% of the money that they made in April.
Oh, wow.
Our normal rate is in the low teens, and in February it was 8%. And so it's just kind of interesting, like, for that short window of time that we could actually have real earnings be higher. Now, obviously the stimulus, $1,200 was a one-time thing. The unemployment benefits are going to run out sometime in July. And so through May and through June, I guess it's possible that we could see this higher savings rate and higher income rate kind of stay. But yeah, people have kind of been given the opportunity, it seems, to stock up. But I don't know. That's just what the numbers say.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I mean, if you think about that, I mean, now granted, I know that it is spread across a lot more people, because I imagine back, like, say in March, they're probably basically everybody is getting a little bit more money, where back in March it was like, well, not everybody is working or can work or whatever all the rules were. So it will be interesting.
Nothing had kicked in yet.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next several months. I mean, I know I'm hoping for everything to kind of get back to normal and people get back on their feet and all that stuff. So we'll
you
just
and
have
me
to
both,
see.
Brother.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, man, I think that's everything for this week. I thought it was going to be a quick episode, but I think we did a pretty decent episode here, a little over 30 minutes.
Yeah, a little over, almost 40 once you throw Crazy Tech in there, and we hope we brought some laughs and whatever else.
Yeah, for sure. So, all right, man. Well, do you want to tell them where they can find us in case they want to keep listening and maybe send us some nice messages on social media?
Yeah. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at LunchTimeTechTalk. You can find us on Twitter at LunchTimeTechT1. We have a Patreon page, patreon.com/LunchTimeTechTalk. And you can also find us on the internet. We have a website, www.lunchtimetechtalk.com, where you can browse show notes and listen to old episodes. We're on all the streaming services, so you can find us anywhere. And while you're there, give us a thumbs up or 5 stars or whatever that site has, and leave us a review. We're told that it helps.
Yeah.
so
that's what they say.
That's what they say. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. I was temporarily on Facebook, but I'm gone again.
You're gone again.
And I'm MSU Mac. That's MSUMACC. Mike, where are you at?
The easiest way and the fastest way to find me is just go to runbikemike.com, and all my social media links and everything else is located in the top menu bar.
Hell yeah. You know what I like about your website?
What's that?
Because I finally visited it on a desktop. And I like that when I click on a thing at the top, because you have all your stuff across the top, I like that it takes me to a new tab.
Yep,
I don't like when websites like kick me out of where I am in my current tab to take me to something new. I like when it opens a new tab. So, well done.
Thanks. I do too. And everything that I set up on there, I always tick that little box that's on the WordPress site whenever you're publishing anything to always open in a new tab, because I am with you on that. I hate it whenever it kicks me out and I have to hit the back button to actually get to where I was, because I might want to leave both tabs open. You never know. So, yeah.
Yeah,
it's good. That's good to hear the feedback on that, because that's my kind of thought also.
Yeah. And hey, I'm going to stick an Easter egg in here, because I figure that most people stop listening when we start talking about where you can find us.
Mm-hmm.
If you are still listening and you send me a message, I will buy you a Run Bike Mike t-shirt. Only to the first person that messages me. Only to the first person.
Can I do it?
No, you can't do it. Someone else has to do it.
Hey, that's a heck of a deal. How about this? I'll sweeten the deal. This is not as generous as what you have. We will throw in a Lunchtime Tech Talk sticker. How about that?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Jeez. I mean, I'm excited for this. This is great. I can't wait to see what happens. Buddy. Whenever that person contacts you, you let me know right away.
I will do it. MSUMAC, MSUMACC.
Yes. All right, man. Well, I think that's it for the episode, and we will see you guys next week.
All right. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.